to the railway.
Just thought I'd show you what I'm doing. At the moment I'm just about to start gluing all of these retaining walls on to the foam. Just using just ordinary PVA and applying it to the back, and then I'm just going to stick it onto the foam. This next section that's going to go in, I've put a little bit of glue on the side so that when it is glued in next to this one is just being glued in. But then with the glue on the side of that, it will then glue it onto this as well. So I'll just finish off gluing all these walls down, and then I'll show you what I'm doing next. So as you can see, I've made some more progress. These are A3 sheets of grey board that I've put around the edges of the layout, so they're going to be like a back scene almost. They're going to be painted a bluish colour with some clouds detail on them, just so it gives the layout a bit of a backdrop. So they're going to go all the way around, as you can see. And I'm also going to use these A3 sheets, partially as you can see here, to frame the layout, if you can kind of guess what I'm saying. So I shall, if I've got enough curved bit here, so I'll then have bits of it going around, and that will all be painted on the outside edge, like that. It'll all be painted black to give it a nice sleek finish. But yeah, so you can see that all of this is not glued to the baseboard, but it's all assembled and glued together with each bit. So if I needed to, I could either, well, I'm not sure whether I want to have it so this moves or whether the foam moves. I need to decide that at some point. But I just wanted to have a bit of a starting point so I can get this foam cut and moulded and sculpted like I have with this section over here. And I couldn't do it until I had the back bit in. But now I do. I can start work on the shaping of the hillside to a more finer detail than it is now, because it's got a little bit of shape into it, but this is just like the offcuts of bits, so just needs smoothing out. But yeah, this is how it's going so far. I've done some more of the panels around the side of the layout now, so you can see the hill formation that's going to go around this way, and the tunnel portal is going to be about here, carved into the hillside. So then as you go around, there's a little bit of a lip here, so I can then have it slightly sloped down, but not too much, maybe with a little mound in the middle just here with a few bushes on. Then as we go around, we've then got this panel here as well. And then as we go around the corner, I've now got these two corner pieces in. It was quite fiddly getting them in, with them being, because it's a 3mm grey board, so it's very stiff to try and bend. So getting it round the curve, as you can see here, was very difficult. So these pieces I've pinned in for now. They're all going to be painted black at some point. But yeah, so you can see I've tried to keep it as well on the bottom line here, so it's all flush all the way around. And I'm going to keep continuing that on up that way as well, so it's flush all the way along. So yeah, I sprayed it with a little bit of hairspray on the outside and on the inside after I'd curved it into place, just to try and hold it really in place after it had been pinned in. And there is also along the join line the reason why this little clip is here. If I show you the back side of it, as you can see here, there is a bit of grey board that I put on the back of the join just to try and make sure that the connection between them was secure. I'm going to do a similar approach at the top bit, just to make sure that all stays flush at the top. And then yeah, as you can see, it's then going to slope down just a nice embankment round the edge, as well as a handy lip as well to make sure no trains fall off the layout. So this panel's a little bit loose, so I'm going to put a pin in the middle here. But yeah, so that's how it's going so far. And well, now I've got the paint as well to start painting these. I can paint these back panels and then I can get these bits clipped on and this panel glued on and pinned on just like the other ones, because these corner pieces fill in this gap that go around here. So if I put them in as they're going to go like that, so then kind of fill in that gap. That's almost how they're going to go, just so it has a nice angular corner to it. And then I'll use this little shelf line here as a little bit of a display or something. But anyway, as you can see, I have been making some more progress on the hillside on this side of the layout, as well as having the, I'm not sure if I'd shown you these before, the fascia boards are now going all the way around up to the top up there. They're going to carry on, but there's going to be a hole for the controller to go through, so I haven't gone that far yet. Yes, as you can see, I've sanded this section down so it's nice and smooth and cut it so it matches the cardboard exactly. And then I've started cutting the sections on this side as well. So this one's been cut and sanded down so it matches where it goes here. And as you can see, I'm just in the process of adding the other pieces. Now what I found quite handy to do with these is, you can see what I've done on this corner, I've done it on that corner as well, is if you cut the corner off like that, when you're trying to go around a curve, you can then keep it so it's flush on this side, like that. Try and get it into focus. But then because you can see where the curve goes, you can then sand it down from that corner and gradually bring it so it's closer and closer to the wall, rather than risk cutting too big of a chunk off. That's what I've done with this section here, is I've sanded it down gradually, and you can kind of see how it's worked. Then it gradually gets it to the shape that you want. Yes, I'm just going to do that with those few pieces there. I've got a few more underneath, and hopefully I'll have enough to then go around this corner and make it look quite nice. So I'll show you when I've got some more progress. As you can see, I've made some more progress and I've got more of the foam going around the corner. It's a little bit tricky getting this bit cut because I had to cut it out from one of the larger slabs that I had. But it makes it a bit easier with it being in one piece to then get it sanded in. So you can see I've managed to get it so they are all flush. These pieces here still need to be sanded down like these ones up here. But once they are and they're shaped in properly, it'll look a lot nicer. Because what I'm thinking of doing is then once I've got all this done, I can then think about putting the scenery in, having the ballast done as well on this corner. Just thought I'd show you some of my trials to get the coupling working on the Duchess class locomotive that I showed you in the last video. This was the first attempt I had at fixing the coupling. Was putting some blue tack underneath the wheels to then try and push the coupling upwards so it wasn't drooping down. This worked a little bit, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't actually the mounting point that was drooping down, it was the actual coupling in the socket. I've tried changing the coupling going into the socket and it does the same thing. So what I then tried was sticking some blue tack in between the socket and the head of the flat part of the coupling. It's, as you can see in the picture, it's a little bit rough at the moment, but I'm going to try and refine it a bit more, and I might then try and find some black tack as well to try and hide it a bit more. Inevitably I will try and use magnetic couplings to solve the issue, but it's something that we'll do as a temporary solution. Anyway, let's get into the next section of the video. As you can see, all of these sections here have now been substantially sanded down. I've had to do a little bit more fine refinements with cutting these bits, so they'll be sanded down along here where it's quite rough soon again. But yeah, these bits aren't glued in yet. That's my next to-do job. So it's going to be getting those glued in. I'm just trying to work out what glue's best to use with this insulation foam, because I've tried PVA, I've tried wood glue, I've tried Yoo-hoo glue. None of them seem to be working with it, so just going to have to try and find something that will. But yeah, as you can see, I've also worked on this corner, on this side of the banking. So you can see there's some skewers that have gone through here. So these bits are now attached to the main rest of this bit of foam. So this bit here was already sanded down. So what it's going to do is I'm just going to then cut these into profile, sand them down, as well as around this corner as well. And any gaps that you see like that, don't worry about it, because it's probably, I'm going to fill any gaps, especially like these bits where there's air pockets in the foam, and like the slight gaps at the top here or in between, I'm going to fill with some plaster. But yeah, that's all going really, and I'm really enjoying how that's looking around the corner. And you can imagine that then with trees and bushes along the edge, and with nice lines of ballast as well going around. Speaking of ballast, I thought I would do a quick, just a trial run of seeing how some ballast looked on the truck. This is a just a small sample of ballast on the branch line station at the top of the layout. The ballast that I've used is this Woodland Scenics Find ballast. I can't remember where I bought this, but I've had it for a while, and it's only now that I've started using it. I had previously been using some 00 gauge ballast on some of my dioramas in a day that I'd been doing a few years ago. But yeah, this is much more accurate and fine ballast for what I'm looking for. It might be too big for some people, but for me that's perfect for what I want, and it's readily available as well. While I'm up here as well, I have also made some adjustments to the wiring of this section of the layout. Because I use a DC system, so it's just ordinary controllers. The two cables that will power it come from here, so all of these tracks are basically always live because they're unifrog points. Originally when I'd done it, I had done it so there was an isolating rail joiner here with then a power track going down, so I could power this separately and have it isolated. I have now done that with these two sidings here, because I realised if I were to move a train in, I would have to have the loco go all the way back down the incline for me to move one of these locos out to start shunting it. Whereas now a loco can bring a train up into this platform, it can go into the head shunt at the far end and work its way up into one of these sidings. I can then isolate it with a little switch underneath the board, so then this loco doesn't move in these sections, the tracks are isolated. I can then reconnect these tracks underneath to make them live, so then I can move something on to then start shunting around here without having that one move or have to move down layout. So then when the shunter is done reforming the train and moving some parcels wagons around, the shunter can go back into here, and then the main loco can come back down and back onto the train and go back down. So it just gives me some more freedom of moving around the trains. So anyway, I'll move this into a running session, and I'll see you in the next video.